Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor and privilege to be amongst you today. My name is Kritika Balaji. I'm your host, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Academics at IC3 Institute. We are very excited and grateful for the opportunity to bring to you CBSE's workshop for school principals on the topic Principal Pioneers, Charting New Territories in Career Counseling for CBSE Schools. To open this session, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Shri Himanshu Gupta ji, Secretary of CBSE, to address the gathering.
Thank you so much, Pratika ji. And I would like to first of all extend gratitude, and I would like to congratulate IC3 for coming and collaborating with CBSE and providing us this opportunity to all the CBSE principals to know more about counseling, to understand the importance of counseling and how every teacher in a school can become a counselor. This is a 5-week series, and the idea is that we are able to take the message of counseling to each and every teacher and also to the parents and to the students, because it is very important in today's time that parents, teachers, students, all the stakeholders, they know the importance of counseling. They understand their needs. They understand what are their aspirations, both in terms of psychosocial counseling and career counseling. And that's why it is very important that first and foremost the principals, they understand the importance of counseling and what all they can do in their schools. So it's a 5-week series where we'll be touching to initially to principals, then teachers, then parents, then students. And I'm very happy to note that IC3 has brought speakers from across the globe who are very reputed speakers and reputed professionals. And I'm very happy to note that today we'll be having keynote speakers as well as panel discussion, and the team will also be taking up questions from the audience. So my best wishes to all of you who are attending it. And once again, thank you, IC3, for taking this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the incredible opportunity to serve and for this platform to help raise awareness on the importance of career and college counseling. I'd now like to extend a warm welcome to Ms. Neeti Shankar Sharma, who's the Deputy Secretary for Media and PR, to set the tone for the session today. Ma'am, we are unable to hear you.
You can't hear me? I'm not on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. Good afternoon to all the principals, school leaders, distinguished speakers and panelists, and welcome to all of you in this session of today. We are gathered here to embark on a transformative journey, one that aims to define the future of our students and the educational landscape through the power of career counseling. And CBSE is proud to present the Transforming Schools through Career Counseling. It is a series, as Himanshu sir has already, made us aware. It's a 5 series spread over the entire July 2024. And in today's rapidly evolving world, career counseling has become an essential pillar of the education system. It is not merely about guiding students towards a profession, but about empowering them to discover their passions, strengths, tools, and insights necessary to make informed decisions that align with their aspirations and the dynamic demand of the global market, or so as to say, the global job market. The training series, this particular training series, I may say, is really meticulously crafted by IC3. So a big congratulations to you. And it would cater to the professional development needs of school leaders, teachers, counselors, ensuring they are well equipped with the latest methodologies and best practices in career and psychosocial counseling. Moreover, it aims to support students and their parents in navigating the complex and often daunting career decision-making processes. Today's session will focus on pioneering new territories in career counseling, guided by insights from our esteemed keynote speakers and expert panelists, as Sir has already mentioned. We will hear from Ganesh Kohli, the founder IC3, Anil Srinivasan, the co-founder of True, Ashwin Srinivasan, founder of AHA, who will share their experiences and expertise. The expert panel comprises of Sameer Arora, Vice Principal, Shiv Nadar School, Gurgaon. Welcome, sir. Anita Patankar, Director of Center for International Education, Symbiosis International University, Pune. Welcome to the forum, ma'am. Dr. John Fischetti, Professor of Leadership and School Transformation, School of Education, the University of Newcastle, Australia. And a very good morning to you. I think it's quite early in the morning, but welcome to the session. And yes, we do have Jyoti Gupta, ma'am, who's the Director, Principal, KR Mangalam World School, Delhi, who would moderate the session and will walk us through the Q&A, the question and answer round, as we say. So please put in your queries and concerns on the chat, and our team will surely, definitely will put in all together and bring it to this session of, roughly 1.5 to 2 hours. I encourage all participants to actively engage. That is, again, the second time I'm repeating, do try to put in everything on the chat so that you get the answers from such a prestigious panel that we have here, that is assembled here to interact with you all. And thank you all for your commitment to enhancing career guidance in the school ecosystem. Thank you so much, and hope to have a wonderful session ahead of us. Thank you so much, and over to you, Kritika, to set the tone ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your warm words, welcome, and encouragement. I'd now like to just take a moment to share a little bit about what we're going to do today. We're going to have an incredible array of speakers, as Neeti ma'am mentioned. And before we get into the context of each of the speakers, I just want us to mentally make a note or raise our hands if we have heard any of these statements or they sound familiar to us. I wish I had known about all of these new emerging and exciting career pathways that are coming up. I wish we could talk to someone who could have guided us clearly on what we could do. And I wish I was a student in school today where we could experience all of these amazing opportunities. If any of these statements sound familiar to you, this is at the heart of why we brought this series of workshops to you today, to emphasize the importance, relevance, and the need for integration of career guidance in the school ecosystem. Career and college counseling has also been a long misunderstood term. It's been often associated to either psychometric testing or college applications alone. But in today's series, we want to redefine what career and college counseling is. And to do that, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ganesh Kohli, who's the founder of IC3 Movement, to take us through the context of why we are here, and then invite the rest of our eminent speakers as well. Over to you, Ganesh.
Thank you, Kritika. I'm going to try and share my screen here and get what I need on here. So allow me a minute. Maybe, Kritika, you can try sharing your screen. I'm having some difficulty doing that. So that'd be great. Kritika, do you want to just try sharing your screen a little bit? Okay.
Yes,
wonderful. Welcome to all the principals that have joined us. Thank you for taking the time. I'm at the onset of this series and at the onset of this session. I want to first say thank you to CBSE for giving us the opportunity to serve this entire community of incredibly important individuals. Without the work that you do, we would live in a very difficult world. You are having a 60-year impact on people. Young individuals are going to remember their teachers more than anyone else. And so I'm going to really want to emphasize, most of us who are listening in right now may not remember a doctor we met when we were in 8th grade or 9th grade in school, but we all remember at least one teacher we met when we were in 8th or 9th grade. So each one of us listening in today as principals, as educators, are going to have a 60-year impact on the young people that we work with and we engage with. And this work has been underestimated. Counseling has been underestimated, and guidance for many decades now. Counseling has at the most been a peripheral function in school. So I am inviting all of us to give us a gift. If you can turn the slides, I'm inviting all of us to give us a gift. Not this rose flower that we want from you, but we'd like the gift of your presence. Bringing the mind to the body, being completely with us through this next hour and a half or so that we will be together. I think it will be incredibly important to have the gift of your presence. I'm also inviting all of us to recalibrate the chair that you are sitting in. And essentially, and Kritika, if you can move the slides for me, we want you to just find a fresh chair to sit on. We often, I found this as an educator myself. I often ended up sitting on a chair called I know, or and really forgot about a lot of things that I needed to know. And so we can all sit on chairs called I don't know or I want to know in this period that we go through this session. And I'm just trying to see if okay, I still can't share my screen. So I'm going to let you keep moving the slides for me. Go back up, please. Yeah. No, go back up, Kritika. Can you go up to So we're trying to, next slide. Just when I say next, only one click, please. Yeah. Okay. So we're trying to solve through counseling some serious challenges that we have. 73 million young people are unemployed worldwide, and this starts actually when something is dysfunctional at the school level. Next. And not just that, a lot of people are bored at work. People are waiting for the Friday evening or the end of the work day. And these are the same people who got bored in school. When you get bored in school, you often get bored at work. And a large percentage of the working population in the world today is actively or passively disengaged. And the disconnect between the academics and my life in school is the same disconnect between my work and my life as an adult. And we'll talk a little bit about that also through this series. Next. We're also projecting, and these are all problems that counseling can solve, that there will be a lot of people without basic skill sets for the world of work. And counseling also helps resolve this issue. Next slide, please. So what is really career and college counseling? What are we talking about here? The next slide. I want to run you through a host of ideas. For most people, counseling has been really an act. It is something to be done when the student comes to here, and you can show all the bullets, Kritika, together, so I don't need to worry about calling out next. So I'm going to run you through all of these pieces here, and we can make note because I know you have a quiz after this session and you may want to answer some of these questions. But one is that counseling is not an act that has to be performed when a student is in year 12. Counseling is not about helping them find a career or finding a college. It is much more than that. It is about helping young people find purpose. So I would encourage all of us to start looking at a culture of guidance, a culture of counseling in school versus counseling as an act to be performed. Counseling is not to be delayed to year 12. Counseling is not something that we wait till they get to class 12 or class 11. It is actually a systemic function. The other piece I want you to remember from this is that every teacher and every principal has to play the role of a counselor. Whether you're a math teacher, a geography teacher, a economics teacher, or a principal, that each one of us has to be a counselor first. And through this series, we will also share a little more about this pedagogy and this approach where every teacher is a counselor. The third thing that I'd want you to keep with you is that counseling is at the center of everything that we do in school. So it's a central function. And when it is a central function, every day is a counseling day. Every day is about guidance and context. The sports day is a counseling day. Every assembly is a counseling opportunity. The annual day is a counseling day. A simple lunch can become an activity where students find purpose and meaning and guidance. So counseling is really about context. It is about guidance that allows young people to find meaning in their academic subjects as well as find meaning in their activities. When I can answer as a teacher 3 questions: who will use what I'm teaching? Where will it be used? And how will it be used? When I can answer 3 questions as a teacher: who will use what I'm teaching? Where will it be used? And how will it be used? And where is what I'm teaching right now in my presence? That's when my academic subject becomes alive in my life through the prism, through the context of careers and colleges. We are all sitting right now in a physics lab. There's gravity at play, there's acoustics, concave, convex lenses, light rays are falling at a certain angle. Our bedroom or our office space is our physics lab. Our kitchen is a chemistry lab. There's a lot of things that are happening. There is so much that we can do in terms of context. And when we bring context, academic subjects become a skill. Language becomes a skill, geography becomes a skill, physics becomes a skill. That's the role that principals can play through counseling. And then finally, I want to leave you with MRF to RDD. We are living in a world where we constantly talk about automation, things, jobs being taken away by computers or by technology, by artificial intelligence. That is primarily because we are not being human in the way that we are operating. MRF stands for memorize, repeat, follow rigid instructions. A lot of what we may be doing is memorize, repeating, following rigid instructions. I think it's important to memorize, repeat, and follow instructions. But when it comes to careers and colleges, history doesn't repeat with them. Most of us would have used a Nokia phone at some point. Nokia actually, literally collapsed as an organization because the change was not fast enough. We may have used a Kodak camera at some point, but we don't use that anymore. We may have used a Walkman at some point. We don't use that anymore. So memorizing, repeating, and following rigid ideas does not work very well with careers and colleges. And what counseling does is really a culture of counseling in school allows for RDD or research, design, and development to happen when it comes to career and college choices. That we research the options that are available. We don't just research on the outside, we also research on the inside. Not just what is available on the outside, but what is my competence. So we do research, we design solutions for ourselves, for our students, for our school, and we keep developing those solutions. We're not stuck to one solution because the world of work and careers and colleges is rapidly changing. So as a practice, we all can move from memorizing, repeating, and following rigid instructions to research, design, and development. And that is a call to action. We will talk more about this through the series that we are going to do. The next slide for me. And if we actually are able to have career and college counseling as a central function in school, you will find that there will be improved academic engagement and performance. We will wash away boredom. Every subject will build future ready skills. Every subject will become a skill. We will have real motivation for young people to come to school. Teachers will be inspired as well. As principals, you want to mitigate your challenges, attention span, dysfunction, challenges around dummy schools or non-schools, keeping students socially engaged, academically engaged. You'd see systems being transformed through the pedagogy. We also see improved mental health and well-being aspects. A lot of young children are not worried, or their families, about what will happen after school. They are worried about what will happen at school, but what will happen after school. When there is career and college counseling, they have more control. They don't feel powerless about their future. We also see that counseling improves the relationship between parents and the school. As parents and students feel more secure about their future, it also strengthens the relationship between the school and the parents. And we've also observed that students learn about sustainability and become more climate friendly when there is guidance and counseling that's happening in school. You can move on to the next slide. I think that was my last slide. So I am wishing everybody a great series and a great session from here on today. I wanted to set this context for all of us, and I'm going to hand over back to you, Kritika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh, for that very enlightening context-setting session. It really helped us understand what mindset and approach we should take as we go into these sessions. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first keynote speaker for the day. We have with us Mr. Anil Srinivasan. Mr. Anil Srinivasan is a renowned Indian musician and a cognitive neuroscience expert with an MPhil from Columbia University, and he founded Rhapsody in 2013, which integrates art and creative intelligence into the curriculum of over 477 schools in South India. Rhapsody was awarded #1 worldwide in Innovation and Learning by Wharton QS Reimagine Education Awards. In 2022, he founded Crew, a platform connecting middle and high school students with top academic and industry mentors globally. It emphasizes critical thinking and creative intelligence, and it prioritizes equitable access for students from diverse backgrounds. Mr. Anil has received the Kalaimamani Award in 2019, the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar in 2009, and the Ken Hobbs Citation for Social Responsibility in 2017. It's such an honor to have you with us, Mr. Anil. You all are all in for an incredible learning session, but also a treat for your ears. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Kritika, and thank you to CBSE and everyone involved in putting this together, both CBSE as well as IC3 Institute. It's lovely to see some friends here, many of the panelists, of course, Jyoti ma'am, and very, very warm good afternoon to you all. I hope I'm audible, and that's the first check that we always do. But in my case, I won't do an audio check just using my voice. I'm going to do an audio check using the piano. And since we don't know who is watching, who's not watching, so I'm going to play something, and instead of saying good afternoon back to me, if you know the tune that I'm playing, just type it up in a chat window, or just type it up in the chat box here, so I know that everybody can hear both audio as well as music audio. Okay, so here goes. This is the tune. Okay, so I'm hoping that everybody heard that, and yeah, I think a lot of people have said what the tune is, so I know that everybody is listening, and clearly music has that effect. Okay, wonderful. Ganesh ji spoke so much about counseling, but a very, very important word that he used on why counseling is necessary is the word purpose. And I'm going to be spending the next 18 or 19 minutes or so to talk about purpose and what it means to find purpose. So among the, I know that they gave a wonderful introduction about all my achievements. Whenever people ask me, have you really done these things? I just say, look at my hairstyle. You know that I've done a lot of things. So I will share with you what I understand from the word purpose, but more importantly, as a college professor, and when we are dealing with taking students in from school, how we actually see the difference between those who've had the benefit of good counseling versus those who did not have the good counseling, how we are beginning to see the differences and what can we do to bridge this gap, right? So that's sort of where I'm going to focus. Like everybody else, if you've got a PhD, I am going to share my slides.
Please, Gigi.
And I think somebody needs to mute their audio.
Everybody should go home safe. Gigi, please. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I think somebody's got their audio on, if they can mute it. So are my slides visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think what we are firmly entering is what we are calling the creative age. We listened to the Stone Age, Iron Age, and all that in our history lessons, but what is the creative age, right? So this is an era where we are all talking about how much of artificial intelligence, so much of technology entering the picture. But I want to start by saying that artificial intelligence is not new. It's always been there. You know, every one of us is using a smartphone. We've been using various devices, but we've also been using electronic instruments. And in that context, I'm going to be playing something very quickly. And it goes like this.
We can't see the slides, Anil.
You're not able to see the slides?
No.
At the moment, it's okay. If it's okay without the slides, actually.
Also, your video is off, Anil, just so that you know.
Oh, okay. I don't know where that happened. 1 second. I am back, bright and smiling. Everybody can see me now. Okay. So don't worry about the slides. I was talking about the creative age. I'm just going to play something really quickly and talk about that. So it's a piece that goes like this. I'm going to keep my screen like this so you can actually see the surface of the keys. It goes like this. And that's a piece which is composed by this composer called Johann Sebastian Bach. I'm going to play it again. If I played it separately with the right hand, this is how it would go. And if I played that with the left hand, it would go. And if I played them together, it would go. There's nothing special about playing it like that. But instead, imagine if I were to start with the right hand, give a small time delay, and then played the exact same tune in the left hand, right? So what does that mean? I start with the right hand and give a slight delay and then start the left hand. So that means that the right hand finished faster than the left hand. Please realize that this is something that was composed in the year 1710 or 1715, for nearly 300 years or more. Mankind has already developed the ability to think in extremely complex ways, and the speed at which we are able to think about things, combine concepts and come up with third concepts. So concept 1 plus concept 2 creating concept 3 is something still that only human intelligence can do. However, right, in the way we are all taught and the way we all teach, I'm also a teacher here, so I'm including myself along with all the principals. The important thing we need to focus on and saying, how can I encourage this kind of thought? How can I encourage students to be able to look at a problem, look at some kinds of ingredients or stimulus coming together and combine them to create new thought, combine them to create new ideas, new paradigms. How are we doing that? In order to do that, we need to get into exposing them to new ideas. And in order to expose them to new ideas, we first need to know what new ideas exist. And that is why you need counseling in order to find purpose. So it's sort of this huge equation that I have drawn here. New ideas are where humankind will continue to reinvent itself despite AI. And for new ideas to come about, we need to be exposed to new stimulus, new ingredients, and to be able to know what new ingredients, new ideas exist, we need to have purpose dictated to us, or purpose guided to us by our counselors, right? So that's where this whole purpose equation comes in. Here's a quick quiz. Okay, so I'm not managing the chat box, so whoever is managing the chat box can tell me. Whoever gets this first gets a very special prize from me. Okay, so I'm going to play quickly 3 tunes, and whoever gets the name of the tune first on the chat box, right? So here goes, and there's a reason I'm going to be playing these tunes, because all of them have had a very, very important significance in the development of thought. So let's go with number 1. If you're ready. Okay, so whoever got the answer first, Kritika or whoever else is looking at the other screens where the principals are involved, you can look at who got it first. This is, of course, Aapki Nazron Ne Samjha. The second one is this. Okay, so if you've been listening to your children, you will know what that tune is. And that's the second one, and I don't know who got that one, but that's Imagine Dragons, and it's a song called Believer. And the last one, and this is sort of important again. Okay, so whoever said Hum Honge Kamyab, the original was actually We Shall Overcome, but either one is fine. So somebody can relate to me who all got it right first, and there's definitely a special prize coming their way. But the reason I mentioned all 3 tunes has something to do again with what I just said about purpose. The first tune that you heard, Aapki Nazron Ne Samjha, was of course Madan Mohan, and it was Lata Mangeshkar singing in Unpad in all those many years ago, almost 70 years ago. What we need to remember is at that time you had more than 60 instruments playing this particular piece, with Lataji's voice alone rising well and above those 60 strings. 60 instruments are playing, but you can still hear Lataji's voice like a nightingale over and above it. 65 to 70 musicians had to play that song over and over and over and over again. They had more than 70 rehearsals before it came to the form that you hear it today. In today's context, and I'm a recording musician, I can tell you, we don't even know what the song is. Most of the time, music directors call us. We go to the studio. We are playing just our bits and coming away. We don't even get to hear the singers' voices and what they've sung. That gets recorded in later, right? So the second track that I played, which was Imagine Dragons' Believer, was recorded with just 2 musicians, right? Lataji, 70 musicians. Imagine Dragons, nearly 65 years later, was recorded with 1 man, 1 lady, and a computer. That's it. And that song is probably one of the most viral songs in the world. Every one of your children in schools is singing that song, right? Like saying 2.5 men, it's two human beings and 1 robot, which created that. See the difference that's come about in music in just 60 to 70 years. Does that mean that, human beings are dead? All those 60 musicians who played that, does that mean that they're all defunct now? That they don't have any purpose, that we can just get rid of them? No. Music itself has diversified into so many different fields, so many different careers, so many different ways of developing, creating, and distributing, that unless that musician is able to upskill, cross-skill, and start getting exposed to different ideas through different challenges, different opportunities, they will get left behind. It is not to say that the human being is gone. It is to say that the human being has to be even more creative today than he or she was 60 or 70 years ago. That's sort of the broad sweep conclusion that I'm trying to make. I'm going to give you 4 numbers, and each of these numbers has a significance. It's actually the number 69 and 96 in 2 sequences, 69, 96, 69, 96. So why am I saying these numbers? 69 is the total number of new careers, new professions, which are going to be facing the average undergraduate in the year 2030, as defined in the World Economic Forum report. 69 new careers. These careers don't even exist in the world today. We don't even know what they are. And they are going to be facing the undergraduate graduating out of college just 6 years from now, which means that our 9th and 10th graders today probably are going to be ending up in these jobs, which you and I don't even know what they are. For example, I saw one job description in the WEF report, and it said blockchain code disabler. And I went through that and I said, first of all, it's taken me this long to even understand what is blockchain. Now, on top of it, you have blockchain code disablement. We don't even know what that means. But we're going to have computer science teachers understanding it, then training these students to be able to tackle professions like that, right? The second number that I said is 96. So it's very easy to remember what I say. That's why I'm not using slides, right? 96. 96 million new teachers are going to be required by the year 2030. So yay. AI and chat GPT is not putting an end to our professions. I think we are going to be having to train more teachers and create more agile and creative teachers, right, by the year 2030. So 69, 96, bata diya aapko. The third 69 is just for fun, is the total number of new education technology companies that were created in India in the year 23-24 to solve for education's challenges. And 96, the last 96 is the total number of education technology companies that closed in the year 23-24, which means that we are not anywhere close to finding any solutions. We are still figuring out our way, right? We're still figuring out a way to get to where we need to get to by 2030. So there's a lot to be learned. I think the main point that I wanted to start off by saying is that artificial intelligence is not new. It's always been there. Instruments had it. We've always been, but human beings have still managed to go a little further beyond. When I played the Bach piece, just imagine the genius of a man who composed a tune that can be played by the right hand and left hand separately and still make so much of harmony together. A computer is still not able to do that. It's human beings who will do that. But to be able to get to that creative potential, right, and to understand how our children can be shaped towards achieving their creative potential and find their creative purpose, we have to look at new ways, new ideas, and new methodologies in making the human mind more agile. And that will come with alternative approaches, and counseling forms a very big bedrock of those alternative approaches. Now, I'll take a break again, play one more music track, because I get the feeling that everybody enjoys the music very much. So even though I'm talking to a computer screen, so here's one more, and I think it's a big favorite of many of you. So I'm just going to play it. So I think many of you know that that's Gazab Ka Hai Din and it's Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. If you guessed that, I pretty much know how old you are. And that the very fact that it took you less than 3 seconds, not only to know the song, but I'm sure in your head, you had the actor, the actress, the scene, when is the first time you saw it. If you were a nutcut like me, you would have probably cut college to go and watch the movie. I'm sure all of these things have come into your head. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that artificial intelligence and computers are still not able to do this, right? This automatic, instantaneous 327,000 neurotransmitters which are getting activated in your brain the moment you're listening to stimulus like music, is still something which is only humanly possible, not technologically possible, right? And you've already combined things. Your mind has already gone into a visual. The mind has already taken into account a lot of auditory inputs, and your neuro processed all that information, and you're coming up with a chat response automatically. You believe me, you're still more creative and agile than a computer, and probably you need a ganja like me to keep telling you that from time to time, that you are more creative, you are more agile, and you are more adaptive, right? As I said, the world is changing, right? Those 60 musicians from Lataji's time are probably not going to be in a job unless they transform the way they look at the domain itself. And for that, constant education, re-education, and relearning is necessary. The crucial role of the counselor becomes extremely key. As a college professor, one of the things that I've had to deal with time and time again, sitting on admissions, is asking a student why he or she really wants to do what they want to do. I'll give you an example of a child who scored 100% in physics, 100% in chemistry, 99 in mathematics, came in with an application form saying he wants to do BSc physics. One of my other co-panelists in that interview was a physics professor who asked him a very, very simple question. I think it was to do with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, but the child could not answer. And when we asked him, why did you not know this? He said it was not there in the exam. And then I went one step further and I said, do you really want to do physics? And he said, no, I actually want to do photography. But my father told me that because I couldn't get into engineering, minimum I have to do is physics, right? One of the things that we notice in dealing with admissions like that and dealing with children like that is that I think our role as educators, our role as enablers is to help those children find their purpose. It was at a moment like that that I missed the crucial role of a counselor being able to have worked with that child, expose the child to crucial examples through his formative years that he could have actually gone into a career of his choice. For example, if you ask my friends, your friends, if you say a child wants to go into photography, we think, what is the role of photography going to be? We all can take photo with cell phone. So that cannot be a career, right? If somebody were to come to me before I became an educator and said my child wants to be a photographer, I'll say that's bekar, let him do something more useful. That's not no longer the case. Within photography, within visual technology, there are now as many as 600 different career options. We did not know this, right? We think it's all restricted to the phone photography that we take. Engineering, right? Most of us look at engineering with respect to those 6 or 7 disciplines that we know: civil, electrical, mechanical, etc., etc. The ones that we all knew, we think that that is the way it is. There are more than 160 branches in engineering that are available to children today, right? Within music itself, audio and audio technological and audio spatial engineering, there are so many subdivisions which are happening in the world today. And that is the reason why, in finding purpose, in finding why it is we do what we do, we need to open our minds not only to counseling as a very important function at every level, but the fact that there are so many, many different things that the world is beginning to offer that we don't know. And the only way we bridge the gap from what we don't know to what we know. So asatoma sadgamaya. So going from what you don't know to what you know, we need to find enablers, and many of us exist, both as professors as well as organizations exist to fill that gap. So I'll stop there. Last part of it, I just wanted to do a small exercise. If everybody in the panel can actually turn on your video, because then I can actually see you. If most of our panelists and speakers, because I mean, all of you have such beautiful faces. I want to see that rather than the gray screen that's confronting me. See, now it's already looking so much better. This will make for a much better screenshot, right? So I'll crack a little joke as well, because most of us like these screenshots because LinkedIn needs to be active tomorrow morning. So please have your beautiful faces on display, and a warm hello to people joining from other parts of the globe. So I love doing this exercise when I do it live. So I will do it today virtually, and I hope it works for every principal who's watching this. I'm going to play something. And when I play this for 30 seconds, I would like everybody to close your eyes. That's why I wanted to see, so that I know that you're closing your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to imagine something. So I'm going to play something. When I play that something, I'd like you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of your favorite teacher from school, right? Your favorite teacher from school. I hope your favorite teacher from school, you don't end up thinking about yourself. Please think about your favorite teacher, somebody who taught you, right? And it can be primary school, it can be middle school, high school, it can be college, it doesn't matter. It's somebody who made a very important difference to your life when you were a student. Okay, so here we go. Once I start playing, please close your eyes. And please remember that because your video camera is on, I can see that you're closing or not closing your eyes. If you're ready, let's start. And now you can open your eyes. I'm sure that for many of you who thought about your favorite teacher, I don't think you particularly care what certificates they have, what qualifications they have, how much they earned, which foreign conferences they presented in, what was the number of size of their LinkedIn following. I don't think any of these things matter. I think what matters most is the fact that they loved you and the fact that they cared about who you were. I leave this particular session by saying, let's enable an entire generation of children who 20 years from now, when we ask the same question of closing their eyes and thinking about their favorite teacher, that the person that they think about is you. And in order to do that, I hope that we can enable the next generation to find their purpose. I think we are getting into an increasingly confused and transitional world with too many data points, too much of information hitting our children, just like it's hitting us, that we need the crucial role of a guru, the crucial role of a counselor to enable purpose so that all our human children can find their potential, can find their creative edge, just as all these beautiful composers before us. And instead of artificial intelligence. So thank you very much and good luck with the rest of the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anil, for that phenomenal start to the session. I can't thank you enough for first and foremost dissipating any fear that people might have sat with that artificial intelligence is going to take over the world, that students might lose potential opportunities. So thank you for really showing us through data and your deeply caring insights that there is so much out there for students to work towards and how important the role of educators and counselors are going to be in shaping this future. I'd now like to invite our second keynote speaker for today. I'm very excited to welcome Mr. Ashwin Sriselam. Mr. Ashwin is a former monk, a wisdom teacher, and a thought leader with over 30 years of experience. At the age of 13, he began his monastic journey, traveling to over 50 countries to teach inner freedom. He has notably guided figures such as Michael Jackson and collaborated with Grammy winner A.R. Rahman in his first venture. Mr. Ashwin co-founded AHA in 2017, an AI-driven mind learning platform present in 52 countries, and he's working with major groups like the Deloitte and AB Group. His leadership in mental well-being in the post-pandemic has been recognized by the Foundation for the Support at the United Nations and Niti Aayog. He's featured in prominent publications such as Times of India, Economic Times, and The Hindu, and spoken in global stages, including the United Nations on SDG 3, which is on good health and well-being. He's conducted meditations for the UN delegates and has a unique blend of ancient wisdom, modern insights, and he's been a mentor to several leaders. I'm very grateful for your presence, Mr. Ashwin, and over to you.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, Kritika ji. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me. Nice to see you, Ganesh, because I've heard about you from Kritika. So that's good to connect on this forum. And thanks to CBSE for this time that I'm having over here. More than what all you heard, I think my purpose here for the next 20 minutes is to share something that could make an impact. I would really love for this next 20 minutes to be something that we can take back. I think it's a continuation of all those nice music that we were listening when Anilji was playing, and we're just going to understand what keeps us together. And that's the message I bring over here. Just like everyone, I'm just going to bring up a set of slides, and then I'm going to convey what is the essential message that I want to bring over here. Just give me a second. There we go.
I'm on another 20 minutes. They're going to be
It's not allowing me, but
as much as
for some reason it's not allowing me. I don't know why, but I don't think so. I think I'll just continue. In the meanwhile, if you're able to, I don't know if you have any control, Kritika, for me to come in, or
Sure, we'll just help you get screen sharing
that's fine.
access. Just
If not, I don't need the slide either. I can just go deep into the message. First of all, I just feel I want to wish you all, whoever is on this call, a truly, truly wonderful life. We all have this precious life. Universe, or whatever we want to call it, has bestowed us with this incredible organism to live this precious life. And I wish you all that you're able to live this life to the fullest in every capacity, as an individual, as a family person, as an educator, as a principal, as a human being. You're truly able to enjoy these days and months and years that we have on this planet. It is a miracle what we have. We can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. An incredible organism has been gifted to us, not just to purely exist and go away, but to truly live. And that's why, from my heart to each one of you, I sincerely wish you all a wonderful, wonderful life. And when we talk about life, to me, what life really boils down to is one word, which is decisions. A human being roughly makes 35,000 decisions a day. 35,000 decisions a day. From should I wake up now? Should I brush my teeth? Should I use this paste? Should I have chai or coffee? Should I go and sit back after brushing my teeth? Should I exercise, not exercise? Should I make that call, look at WhatsApp? To macro decisions. Should I take this career? Should I move to a new city? Should I get married? Should I talk to this person I haven't spoken for a long time? And these decisions are what are shaping our life constantly. And if you look back where you are today, if we all are gathered in this call, I don't know how many people are on this call. This call is a beautiful moment where there are a few hundreds, a few thousands, we're all gathered on this WebEx platform. But this call is a result of so many decisions we all have taken, and the ripple effect of it that we are here today. From various backgrounds, from various life circumstances. Otherwise, there's no reason I would be here, you would be here, and we would be having this collective meeting. I mean, like, where were we 10 minutes ago? I didn't know you, you didn't know me, and today we are here together, spending the next few minutes, at least as far as I'm concerned, in order to understand something that can make an impact. And this is a result of those millions and millions of decisions that we make every day. And to me, as a principal of a school, as an educator, as an academic institution, as a place where light is being spread to various students and their respective lives, I would call it as a house of decisions. It's a place where decisions are being made every moment. If you have hundreds and thousands of those kids who come to schools and colleges, It is a breeding ground where their mind is making crucial decisions, whether to go up or break down, whether to break through or break down. And when they are making those decisions, one thing that was taught to me when I used to be in monastery, as Kritika was mentioning, I joined when I was 13, and for the next 19 years, I was in the monastery. The head monk asked me, if you really want to teach, Ashwin, if you really want to make an impact, you might have to reach that place where you become that, all that you don't have to talk. You become that, all that you don't have to go and preach. Just your presence does it. In this context, if we are going to help so many of them in schools, if we are going to help so many of those students to make glorious decisions in their life, the biggest question I would have wherever I'm going is how much of it I'm able to embody. How much of it is a living experience for me that is going to help me counsel, that's going to help me guide the students with their respective lives, with their respective next steps. There are two kinds of fundamental decision making that can happen in us. One, a me-centered decision making. Two, a we-centered decision making. A me-centered decision making is all about me. And whenever there is me, there is one supporting document that always goes as an attachment with that me, which is mine. Me and mine. Me and my class. Me and my school. Me and my set of schools, or me and my set of cities, or me and my set of whatever diaspora that I need to associate with that sense of me. When that me becomes the center factor, then the decisions I'm making from that me place will only look into what satisfies, what gratifies that me. It might not have the vantage point, it might not have the bird's eye view of what the situation requires, what the other requires, or what that one student requires, which he or she might not even be able to share, but I might not even be able to know because I'm so full of myself that I have no room for that child to even know what that child is going through. If I'm so full, where is the room? Where is the room to listen? When there is no room to listen, where is the room to impact? When there's no room to impact, where is the room to shape someone's decision? When there's no room to shape a decision of an human being, then what is the use of all strategy? What is the use of a system? What is the use of all that we want to build on the outside that looks great, but it hasn't actually created a positive dent in a human being's life? On the other hand, when it is more a we-based decision, an inclusive decision, there is this famous African saying, it goes as Ubuntu, and the actual essence of that Ubuntu saying is, I am because we are. What it means is there is no one in this universe who is totally, totally independent. We are all interdependent. I, you, this technology, the people out there, the students, the parents, the relatives, every bit you take, everyone is interconnected. We used to be given an exercise in the monastery days, I remember. I was once asked to look at my shirt and asked this question, Ashwin, just ask from where the shirt came from. I used to just rush and say, okay, the shirt came from that so-called tailor. But I was said, no, think more. The shirt just came from that tailor. There is much more to it. The cotton, the buttons, the farm, the farmer, the family of that farmer, the nature, the rain, the truck driver who brought whatever from one place to another place, the manufacturer, the people who were weaving it. If you start looking at the interdependent nature of things, literally for every micro decision, the entire universe is involved. I might think I'm alone. I might think I have an independent life. I might think I have an independent decision-making process, but every decision we're making is interconnected with everything else. So when I realized this, when I was looking at my shirt and asking that question, I was filled with gratitude that this simple shirt shows me the love, the affection of the entire universe. I have two options. I can look at the shirt and just look at it as a transaction. I paid this much and got the shirt. Or I can choose to look at the shirt and see the entire universe and gratitude for what this universe has done so that I could have the shirt and I could enjoy being comfortable in the shirt and go about my day. Now, that's just a simple example of how inclusive thinking works. So when I am a leader of a company, when I am a colleague in a company, when I am an employee in a company, when I am a teacher, when I am a student, when I'm a principal, when I'm the head of a country, head of whoever it is, there is no one who is outside of this fabric of life. And if I can look at that interconnected nature of things, and from there respond every growing moment, then as I was telling you 5 minutes ago, you become all that you don't have to talk about. And that is the place from where when you're going to go and counsel someone, they will just feel so comfortable sitting by your side because they know this is a beautiful, safe place. And even 2 words you talk, it'll profoundly impact that person instead of having to talk 1,000 words that just would have come from intellect. So my intention here is, can we reach that growing place where we become that light ball of impact? Is it something that is only possible for someone who's a hermit out there, cut off from the rest of the world? My question has always been, is it possible to be both a Buddha and a Steve Jobs at the same time? Do you need to leave Apple to be a Buddha, or do you need to leave the Bodh Gaya to work at an Apple factory? No, you can have the best at both the worlds. So all that I'm trying to tell over here is, can we be that embodiment of that we place? And from there, we function, from there, we teach, from there, we counsel, from there, anything we do, we don't have to calculate if it is working or not working. You are that. And every bit you do is making a positive impact in people's lives. And when you start doing that, think of it, those tens and tens of decisions the students are making, that decision is no longer an isolated decision. That decision is coming from an impact they got from this place. Roughly, it shows anywhere from 70 to 75% of decision making that happens in a classroom is the emotional atmosphere that they experience with the people they are with. The 5 people they are with, it could be their friends, it could be the teacher, it could be the principal, it could be the most significant people in that establishment. And what kind of an emotional connect I have with that set of 5 individuals will profoundly impact what kind of a decision I make, whether I look forward to life or whether I feel I'm going to be a failure. And that emotional connect, that impact, it's not something we can put on a spreadsheet. It's not something we can put it on slides. It is something we embody. It is something that we don't have to say. It just happens. And in order to get there, in order to keep growing towards that place of a we-based decision making, it all starts with a simple thought. I'm sure you have done it many times. I'm not telling you you've never done it. You've done it thousands of times. Only if we can become more self-aware and be more inclusive in our thinking, in our action, in our decision making. When we make that effort, you start seeing the effects of it. You will see how much amount of impact you're able to have as a listener, how much amount of impact you're able to have from a place of compassion, putting yourself in someone's place, and then from there coming up with a solution. the ripple effects are endless. The reason I'm using the word ripple, because every decision you are making every day is creating a ripple in so many people's lives. Now, the question is, what kind of a ripple do I want to create? A ripple that's very limited, a ripple that is very me-centered, or a ripple that is larger, a ripple that is expansive, a ripple that is going to not just stop with that student, but it's going to go beyond to their parents, to their fellow friends. And it goes, whenever there is an impact, it just spills and spills and spills and spills, because we just spoke about the interdependent nature of things. So it never stops anywhere. It just spreads and spreads and spreads. So the main takeaway that I would love for us to truly value in this short session that I get an opportunity to be with you is that place of a larger decision-making part where we know that we are much, much more than just this body. I am because we are. If I'm a teacher, I am because those students are. It's not that they are because I am, but it is both ways. And that's much more. If I'm able to talk to you, I'm grateful to this laptop. I'm grateful to the table that is holding that laptop. And then my thought goes to that carpenter who would have sat for whatever hours to carve this table, because of which this laptop is standing on that table, and I'm able to talk to you. Otherwise, I have to sit on the floor, and it would be a little awkward position for me to do the session. But I would just say, oh, this is all part of interior design. What a big deal. I paid for this interior design. No. So it's our choice to see it all as transaction, to see it all as gratitude and impact. We can go away for the next thousands of years just putting a balance sheet and having a tally of all the transactions and saying, oh, it went right. But we have a choice to move beyond that me-based transactional domain to a more we-based, gratitude-based domain, where the human experience of this, the interconnected nature of things, leaves a larger impact. And from that place, when you're making decisions, trust me, you don't have to worry so much about your students. They will get it. They will absolutely get it. You don't have to worry so much about, did I tell the right line? Did I counsel the right way? Whatever you counsel, even if you just hold someone's hand, you would have made an impact, because that is who you are. And that's a practice you can grow. You don't have to go to the Himalayas for that. You don't have to become a monk like me. You can very well do it wherever you are, and you can continue to do it on an ongoing, little accumulated effect. And then soon it'll become a culture. So with that, I would like to just share this last bit of an essence with each one of you. There are moments that can change our life forever. And there is a possibility this very moment can be that. Not the next. Not, okay, after this call is over, I'm going to think on what he spoke and then contemplate on it. This moment, it can just change. It can just shift. And then that is the shift you will bring in your students, and you will see the magic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashwin. That was remarkable and so deeply insightful. Immense gratitude to you for that. I think all of us as educators, when Mr. Anil also asked us to think about the teacher that made the most impact on us, the first person that crossed our mind was also the person that energetically touched us the most, and the person that left a deep sense of resonance with their presence and energy in our lives. So thank you for expounding on that and for reminding us that we need to begin any journey in inner reflection and career decision making with the space of gratitude and that space of self-awareness. Thank you so much for your incredible keynote. Okay.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're on to the next section of our workshop for today. Our two incredible keynote speakers have really set a remarkable tone on what we need to keep in mind as we're setting the culture, mindset, and ethos to build career and college counseling as a core function in the school. I'd now like to welcome an incredible panel of speakers. I'm going to give you a short introduction to each of them and then turn it over to our moderator, Dr. Jyoti Gupta, right thereafter. So our panel consists of four amazing speakers, starting with Professor and Dr. Anita Patankar. She's the current director of the Symbiosis Center for International Education and the founding director of the Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts. With over 39 years of Indian higher education experience, she's focused on building inclusive and innovative learning and with focus on internationalization as well. She serves on several boards and committees, including EcoNet, Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute, and the Alliance Asian Liberal Arts Universities. Our next speaker is Mr. Samir Arora. He's a seasoned educator with 24 years of experience across school levels, various roles, including teaching, curriculum innovation, and school administration. He's founded 2 travel-based startups offering experiential education and worked with the National Geographic Channel as the country head for the education program. He's also directed the Sanja Amritsar Lahore Peace Festival, reaching over 30,000 youth across borders, and has been recently awarded an Inspirational Educator Award. He serves as the Vice Principal of the Shiv Nadar School in Gurgaon. Professor John Fischetti is our third speaker, and he spent over 40 years advancing transformational school reform, rethinking pedagogy, and modernizing teacher education. As the Pro Vice Chancellor and Faculty of Education and Arts at the University of Newcastle, he oversaw significant improvements in equity-minded excellence. He's previously led the University School of Education, which ranks amongst the top 150 globally. His accolades include being the president of the New South Wales Council of Deans of Education and earning a doctorate from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. Finally, our moderator for today is Dr. Jyoti Gupta. She's an eminent educationalist and national awardee with over 31 years of experience in the education sector. She's propelled the school to new heights and forged global partnerships. And her accolades include a state award for teachers, Dr. Radhakrishnan National Award, and a Global Human Rights Protection Award. She's a member of several prestigious education bodies, including the governing body of CBSE and the National Council for Teacher Education. So, Dr. Jyoti Gupta, over to you.
Thank you, Kritika. I would begin by thanking the CBSE, especially the chairperson, Shri Rahul Singh ji, our secretary, CBSE, Shri Himanshu Gupta ji, Dr. Neeti, for actually envisioning to start a series like this for career guidance and counseling, which has been at the core of the IC3. And I thank Ganesh for coming forward for doing this through the IC3 Institute. He has been in this space for a long time, but to be bringing together a webinar series like this and for getting together people of such eminence, to do the series for the principals, teachers, students, counselors, teachers, everybody, all the stakeholders. We have to thank him because it's going to immensely benefit our school ecosystem, and the new National Education Policy 2020, which is a transformational policy, is talking about the role of counseling for the children at various levels, and especially career counseling, because it is one particular process which is going to give the purpose and direction to all the children. I'm going to quote Ganesh here, who always says that children without the guidance are like airplanes without the navigation system. So when you give the guidance to them, it's actually you're going to put the navigation system into them, and they are not going to crash. They are going to have a direction, and they're going to land at the place where they desire to land. And much has been already said by the keynote speakers, by Himanshu sir, by Ganesh, that it is a function which is not at a periphery anymore. It is at the heart of the school education. And we are just not talking about one act of career counseling, whereby the children, just decide as to which college they want to choose, where do they want to study. It is about a larger question of people being happy doing what they are doing. If they are happy in their careers, then it is not work for them, it is happiness for them. And if we have happy people leading the world, then there's going to be peace all around, and people are not going to be looking for anything else. It is predicted for these children who are there in schools with us right now that they're going to change 7 careers, because you're going to train them, or they are going to train themselves for one particular career, and that will cease to exist. And we've seen the examples in COVID time. There are so many businesses which had shut during that time, but there were so many people who saw an opportunity during that time, and they created, innovated jobs. They created employment for themselves and for so many more people. And the result of that was that the tax collections at that time actually went up rather than going down. So whether you want to stick to the old and the mundane, and Mr. Anil Srinivasan was talking about it, that if you're going to get stuck with what you thought was correct at a particular time, and you do not change, and you are not dynamic, and it's not just about the children, it's also about the teachers, it's also about the parents, then it's only going to do you some disservice. It's not going to help you anywhere. So counseling has to come in. It has to come in as a central function. It is outlined in the new National Education Policy 2020. Earlier, it was seen as a function or as the performance of some of the elite schools who could afford to put together the career counseling cells, who could hire the counselors to do this particular function. But now we are talking about every teacher becoming 10% counselor. Ganesh in his context setting spoke about teaching physics in the bedroom, or teaching chemistry and biology in the kitchen or in your garden outside. And that's what we are talking about in the new National Education Policy, in the NCFSE, that our pedagogy has to be more experiential in nature. When the child will be able to see all this around him, he will get more curious. He will get more interested in what is happening in the real life, and how does he find solutions to the problems that are being posed to him in the real life. And that will only happen when every teacher who's there in the class, who's dealing with this child, is able to tell him and is able to guide him. So we are not talking about expensive stuff here, that is one more teacher to hire, one more counselor to hire, and create the career counseling cells. IC3 has been good enough to actually train the teachers, and these teachers have not been the counselors. They are not the teachers who've studied, they are not the individuals who've studied psychology as a subject. These are some of the principals, they are vice principals, they are teachers who are dealing with children, not just the children of 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Even the primary school teachers have come forward and they've said that we would like to understand how the counseling is done. And they just have to keep abreast with what's happening in the world. The world is moving towards more interdisciplinary studies. We do not anymore want the engineers who do not understand the business, or who do not understand the psychology of the people who they are producing for. So it's more interdisciplinary world that we are all moving towards. And that's what the world was earlier. We never had any silos in our life, but somewhere we created those silos: study science, study commerce, study humanities. And if you're studying humanities, then you're not good enough. It's only the engineers or the people who are studying math are able to do something good in their life. The rest of them are not able to do much in their life. So all these myths have to be broken. And I would like to share that I, as a practitioner, as a principal, for the past decade and a half, for about 15, 16 years, I have been sitting down with every child in class 10th, wherever I have been. And believe you me, I've had 500 children studying in class 10th, and I would set aside 20 days in my calendar in the month of April just to guide these children, just to talk to the families and these children. And we begin the conversations as early as class 9. And after doing all this research, now I'm going to bring it down to class 8. And these children perform better. The one slide that Ganesh was showing us, which actually was speaking about the performance of the children going up, I would say that is the research that I have also done in my school. All these children, they end up choosing their subjects very, very consciously, because they are thinking about what they want to do 10 years from now. What would they want to, how would they want to help the community? How would they want to help their families? What would they like to do? What would they be happy doing? And I've had children come from the families where both the parents have been doctors, but the child wanted to do economics, where the child wanted to do liberal arts, or the child wanted to do business. And the parents were just not ready to listen to this. But eventually, when they gave in after we did the counseling, the children are so successful, they are so happy. And this led to my talking to every child. The performance of the school went up, the performance of the child went up. We went up to about 91% average aggregate, and that is because every child was striving to do well. Every child understood what they were doing, and eventually they all converted into the great alumni of the school, and helping the children, other children who were coming up in the classes. So it is something that is the need of the hour. It is something that all of us have to bring in. And it is often said that knowledge is power. But what makes it more compelling is how one deals with it. That is what we have to guide our children on. So it is a process of guiding and helping every individual, knowing their own potential and taking it up to a level where they can start helping others, or they can start innovating, or they can start creating new knowledge and help the world. So I'll start with our panel discussion, and my first question would go to Dr. Anita Patankar. So, ma'am, based on the new National Education Policy 2020, why do you think that the career guidance function is critical? And how does it contribute to building a holistic school ecosystem? And how does it then translate into the children choosing what they want to do at the higher education?
Thank you.
Ma'am, we can't hear you. Anita, ma'am, we can't hear you.
Maybe you would like to put in a chat
The
box.
NEP focuses very strongly on building a productive workforce for the future. I believe because they are very mindful of our country's demographic dividend and the need to keep it a demographic dividend and not a demographic disaster. I think the NEP is also very cognizant of the fact that what we do usually dictates how we value ourselves, and how what we do when we are adults in our workspace contributes directly to how our nation does and the goals that our nation has for itself on the global landscape. The need, therefore, for students to be trained from middle school itself in vocational education and 21st century skills is therefore strongly mentioned in the NEP. Now, what does this mean? This means that there is now a shift from school education, which once upon a time used to focus on learning for the sake of learning, the joy of learning, citizenship building, to a more pragmatic, outcome based, if I may say, education, that of developing vocational career skills, employability, entrepreneurship, research and innovation, etc. So now education is about society, is about nation building, and is about looking at students and building students who can be productive assets in this new knowledge society that we want to live in and we are living in. Career guidance, therefore, then logically follows, and it follows, therefore, as a function for all educational institutions at all levels. So, for example, a university may actually provide placement. Schools will look at this from the point of view of building a foundation. What kind of a foundation? A foundation for a strong career and professional growth. So those are the seeds that you have to sow in children as early as middle school. Now, from a purely practical point of view, this makes sense. Students who are not able to get jobs or create jobs, who cannot learn to learn and unlearn and relearn as the needs of a technology powered society will require them to, will find themselves falling behind the rest very tragically. So it makes sense for schools, for educators, for the principals who are here in this meeting to look at creating a strong educational foundation at school, which can be like a trampoline, which can propel students into careers of their choice. And I think choice is key. We all are concerned about the growing mental health concerns that we globally face and in our country as well. For we know that human beings succeed and are at peace only when they're doing jobs, when they have careers, when they have lives where they find some kind of fulfillment, whether it's law, medicine, engineering, or whether it's being a social media influencer, whether you're painting, whether you're designing clothes, whether you're creating food. So the education that they receive, and this is where schools principals come in, that the learning that they receive, the experiences that they receive, not just in the classroom, but in the corridors, on the playgrounds, must connect in some way and visibly connect to students and parents to the larger learning outcomes that we have in our mind for a healthy nation, healthy society. The NEP also talks about involving all stakeholders. And I think this is great. Teachers, parents, alumni, community, all of them, because this ecosystem in which students live and grow, they're getting influenced by all of these people. I think ultimately for the school, it's about helping students look inwards to identify what they like doing, what they love doing, what kind of a life do I want to lead, what kind of people do I want, what kind of a person do I want to be. And starting that journey is, I think, the first step in career guidance, career counseling, which everyone needs to do, given that these are students who are going to live in an extremely volatile, disruptive, dynamic kind of world. So that's just summing up very quickly how the NEP looks at schools, at the future of these students, and how vocational career guidance, career counseling fits in.
Absolutely. I think it's very important because vocational education is getting so much of importance. And if the children are not able to adapt that, or they are not able to go into those streams, then it's going to be, very disheartening. So it's very important that the principals look into the competency-based education and they create a pedagogical intervention for creating this kind of ecosystem. Professor John Fischetti, with your background and extensive research in pedagogical transformation, could you share why you believe career education requires pedagogical inclusion and not just to remain as a function of the periphery? Also, what are some of the techniques that the schools can adapt to make this pedagogical transformation?
Certainly, and thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be with you all. Every interaction that we have with children is career counseling. The way in which we handle ourselves and the manner in which we speak to our children actually gives off a vibe, directly or indirectly, that in fact is something we can control. From the smile on our face, the joy we bring to each day, or the grumpiness we bring, or the stress that we share. We non-verbally counsel students by the joy we bring to say, regardless of the baggage you might bring or the experiences that you've had, today is a day we can learn together. And in 1 hour, in one lesson, in one classroom, in one part of India, we can change the world. So the first piece is the pedagogy of how we behave non-verbally. And of course, that's something we each can control if we can compartmentalize our own busy lives. And I know principals and teachers tuning in will understand they just have to kind of leave that at the door. But your question is really about the formal pedagogy, the how we teach. And the careers of the future entail the interdisciplinary aspects that were just spoken of across the content curriculum. So not to be too radical, but most of the way we teach our current syllabus and our current curriculum is in boxes. At 9 o'clock, we go to English. At 10 o'clock, we go to science. At 11 o'clock, we go to history. Then maybe we have a cup of tea. But we don't really see the overlaps. The careers of the future require the synergies across. Just one example, the largest employer in India, the largest employer in every country is healthcare, and all the related professions, from person that might pick you up in an ambulance to those who might treat you in the hospital, those who might do rehab, or the GP that you see. But it's also the research behind all of the new technology and toys that health has to keep us baby boomers going longer and you young things coming along having healthy, happy lives. So in a hospital setting, you need to know as much about health-related issues as you do engineering, as you do technology, because many of the solutions involve chemical changes that are made just for you or just for me. For example, there was a time they gave everyone the same anesthesia in hospital. Now each of us in this Zoom, in this room, get a different dose that's tweaked just for us. And we have gizmos that can replace our knee or our hips or our hearts, but they require critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration. And if our pedagogies are about getting to chapter 24 by the end of the year, or in just getting to the test on Friday, then we're missing out. So career education requires embedding internships, applied learning into the schooling experience early and often. It also requires performance-oriented assessment as counseling. We may not see assessment as career counseling, but when we just give an examination where there's right answers or scripted sort of curriculum, we're missing the opportunity for students to test in real performance, presenting to a panel, getting a chance to do an excursion to see that applied in the real world, or doing a portfolio instead of an examination, where they can see, is this something right for me because I'm trying it out with more reality. It also requires that this performance assessment bring the parents and community in, and then they're joining in the conversation. So it's not just the 2x4 classroom, the two covers of the textbook and four walls of the room. So when we do real work for real purposes, we are actually getting counseling ourselves from the feedback we get from the masters and the experts. And how many days do we actually use the whole world, the global classroom of tools such as we're on today, in the classroom, not as an exception? This is really the pedagogy also of trying to promote self-regulation, one of those fancy education terms of taking control of your own learning. Ideally, we become our own counselors in many respects because we understand that today in school, I want to take on board what my teachers have prepared so that I can be a better person, but I also can be a more thoughtful learner, even if I don't know where that's heading me exactly. That self-regulation missing in the child means they might strive for average, and we cannot afford average. It was spoken of earlier really well, but right now, machines can do average work. ChatGPT can get me an average essay. We need our kids to go for the total keenness of the highest level. And there's smart tools all around us now that can personalize the reference librarian approach for every child for very little investment that's worthy of a whole seminar, I'm sure. So our current reality is the pedagogies we use are often bland, often dull, over boring, and that's at the best. At worst, they're disengaging, disempowering, and taking the lifeblood of the joy of learning away. So we have to change how we teach. That's pedagogy. And if we don't, we're preparing our children to be obsolete. So I hate to be that bold during this session, but we're going to have to change how we teach. And the regulators and the curriculum directors are going to have to come with us. But it's going to take principals driving that and managing up to the leaders above saying we have to engage our kids in their own learning. And that will be the best counseling of all.
Wonderful. So what our takeaways from what you say about the pedagogies is that we should have these synergies across. And I loved what you said about non-verbal, though it is non-formal, but that should be a part of our pedagogy. And internships, performance-oriented assessments, portfolios, excursions, getting the community in, getting the parents in, getting the alumni, taking the feedback. Wow, I think these are some of the doable things which are not very difficult for us as principals, to implement in our schools. So, Sameer, your role as the head of the career guidance department, head of the humanities department, and the vice principal of the Shiv Nadar school. It is great to give the insight into it would be great if you give the insight into the short term and the longitudinal impact of this function in the school. Can you share the different areas of impact you have seen and a few distinct examples of the shifts in your school due to making career guidance a core function?
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. And I think it's interesting conversation. I was reading a couple of reports I'll share the link with while I was preparing for the session. So my first gratitude to CBSE for giving this opportunity to share my journey and probably some learnings for all of you. And of course, IC3, which has been a very integral part of my growth as a school leader and a counselor. I think, this just happened to me. This is in my last role, not at Shiv Nadar. I was in an urban school in Bangalore city, and I happened to become head of department. And I was also asked to step in to do career counseling as an additional role, which I considered to be additional. I realized over a period of time that it is a critical part of what I was doing. And it gave me a very a deep understanding of the pivotal role career counseling can play as a domain in students' career paths. And I think my major observation was, as a head of department and a career counseling person, that there are so much of misconception about careers. If you ask any student and probably teachers today, and I think you can do the counting while I talk to you, 93% of people cannot name more than 7 careers, maybe at the max 14 if you're an educator. If you look at it, it's engineering, it's maths, medicine, it's architecture maybe, or design. It could be probably accountancy, computer science, IT. That's it. That's their number counts. Anil has already talked about 69 new careers. I was looking at 250 career clusters available in India today. So now imagine the power I have as a teacher when I finish my, say, for example, unit as a biology teacher, and I do a topic like genetics. Do you know there are options and career options which are equally well paid, if not better well paid than a doctor, that you can be a genetic counselor, biomedical scientist, or genetist. If I'm an accounts person, an accounts teacher, and I'm finishing an analysis of financial accounts, but you have something called forensic accountancy today, and it's really big demand in India and overseas. You look at environmental accounting and blockchain accounting, Anil talked about, or for that matter now, cybersecurity accounting. So I think the role of a teacher here, I figured it out that at the end of each unit, if a teacher can list out 5 emerging careers in that unit, imagine the kind of repository they can create. And it's not rocket science to do that. That's one part. I also figured out that, we need to do something about it. And, it's not one person's domain to build up a career counseling department. And that is when I brought the teachers together. We vertically mapped a curriculum to 5 years, starting from grade 8. Of course, NEP now says you can start from grade 6, but from grade 8 to grade 12, it was vertically aligned. That I'll talk about that model. It's called AECD, which is awareness, exposure, choices, and development. But basically, the idea is from grade 8 onwards, you start making children aware, give them exploration opportunities. And that is what I did. We had a general counselor who was one of the teachers whose job was to make sure that every teacher who's teaching a subject is able to link career options with that subject. We had career weeks where the teachers would put up, options of careers, emerging careers, which are available for children, and have one-on-one conversations. And we're doing it at Shiv Nadar School in the month of August as well. We then had specialist counselors who will help children make definitive choices. And they were also teachers who just got trained with IC3. Luckily, this great course available. And they help children narrow down their choices from the array of exploration they were doing. In addition, we also figured out that we need to do specific career days. We built up industry linkages. Even at Shivnada School right now, what we do is in grade 9th and 10th, we offer children job shadowing opportunities where they can align themselves with one career during summer vacations, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they can understand nuances of the career before they make a choice. Then in grade 11th and 12th, we partnered with our parents to do internships. All our children, 100% of our children do internships with parents. So these are some of, so we started optimizing the potential. We didn't have to go outside. We also invited a lot of higher educational institutions to talk to parents about the changing career landscape and tell them how universities are helping students to achieve that. Now, the last point, I think, as leaders, we continue to face कि यार parents हमारी बात नहीं सुनते. How do we educate parents? So I think we got to go back to understand why do parents think like the way they think. In their journey, probably, as Jyoti ma'am said, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha and Gen Beta will have more than 7 career changes in life. I think our parents and our grandparents picked up one job, one company, and they retired from there. So that's the best they know. So I think educating parents, creating parent awareness about the new age career choices, a lot of information is available, is the responsibility of the school. So I think it doesn't have to be rocket science. Even every weekend, along with parent communication, if you just send up a small reading note to parents about emerging career choices or a short video, that's fine. In your, I think as principal, you address at least your parents at least 2 to 3 times in a year. Create a short presentation and tell them about the emerging career choices. They'll take it more seriously. And I think technology is very underutilized to educate parents about new emerging career opportunities, where I think IC3 can partner with us and CBSE to play a very comprehensive role. So I think if we look at these 3 aspects, which is what I did when I did 3 roles parallelly, and I was lucky because as a beginner point, as a teacher, I could understand what were the gaps, and as a leader, I could go back and fill the gaps. So at one point of time, I was playing all 3 roles. So that is what Ganesh also said. You don't need specialists in the school ecosystem. I think Anil said the same thing, saying, no, you are as powerful as you choose to become. And I think the last speaker also talked about, when the analogy of a shirt was taken, that when you break down any piece of information for parents and students, and Jyoti ma'am has given an example, she sits down with every single child of 500 children every year, we can bring in that change. So I'll stop here and happy to take any questions later, and I'll put in some links for people to look at. Thank you.
Lovely, Samir. So some of the takeaways from what you just said, that we could organize fairs, we could organize internships. And what I loved is that you said you optimize your own potential. Schools are places where they are human resource rich. We have parents, we have community around, we have teachers. So whoever you can tap to bring in and talk to the children and get, of course, the higher education. And that is what CBSE has done today, where they've brought the school and the higher education ecosystem together to talk about the careers and the guidance. That is the way to go. And I think each of the schools in their own domains can talk about this to the children. Now, my question is that our collective goal today is to make sure that we provide the school leaders with tangible takeaways. I mean, we are doing this session, so they should be able to go and implement a couple of things. And today is 3rd of July, so 4th of July, something should change in their schools where the guidance to the children is concerned, where their careers and their higher education goals are concerned. So our takeaways should be simple, they should be incremental, and they should be impactful to embed the career counseling function in their schools. Since we've learned through all the insights of all the panelists that this has to be a collective effort, let us now review and examine how we can work with each of the stakeholders here. Because we've spoken about parents, we've spoken about children, we've spoken about teachers. So let's first talk about the teachers. So when working with the teachers, they are unintentional counselors who are often sought out for advice and guidance. How can we, Professor John Fischetti, how can we better prepare them with knowledge and techniques to be a 10% counselor and integrate the career guidance into their daily academic work?
Yes, thank you so much. I think the message we have to give is that the opportunity to learn has to be lifelong for our teachers, not just in the teaching of the content we've been certified or accredited to teach, but in preparing young people for their future, not our past. That's where I think a lot of the curriculum is retrospective. We're teaching about the 20th century and the ways we used to do things, when right now we're moving into an area where I have on my watch more information than I used to have in an encyclopedia. So the world that we're changing to has to change to the learning of teachers. As I mentioned prior, and many of you have, the interdisciplinary nature of the intersections of the content require that teachers, whether it's in summer or in directed professional learning, needs to be seeing what's out there now in business. For example, how many teachers have ever developed a business case? Every student should be learning how to do a business case, not in business class, in history class, in mathematics class, for example, where you give a rationale for an idea and see it through. How many people understand what it means to have a YouTube business, where you can, by getting clicks and likes, generate income better than almost any of us on this panel, and which is a little scary for all of us to know our kids are smarter than us in the world we're in today. That interdisciplinary knowledge can be in short courses, it can be in MOOCs, the massive online courses, but it also means we have to partner with our universities to deliver chunks of learning different than we have in full master's degrees and PhDs. We might need to know from chemistry what that applies when we link it with biology or we link it with the arts. And in music, how the technology is changing. So we need a little IT from over there and cybersecurity from over here. So we're going to have to partner differently, and our teachers can then benefit from doing small things around their busy schedules. But we also can't miss the parent population. In our parent group, right in our classes, right in our schools, are people who started their own business. They work in insurance, they're nurses, they're lawyers, they're teachers themselves, who understand the modern world and what it takes to be successful, and also where they may have failed. A lot of the startups in India didn't go well, and they're on their second or third. What did you learn? How did you figure out your audience? Embedding those in the classroom could be as simple as listening to the talent of our parents and including them in our own professional learning, rather than assuming that we just hope they don't communicate with us too much, because it gets a little noisy when parents are involved. I call them drone parents, not helicopter parents. A drone just shows up wherever it wants and looks in your window. We need to embed the parent knowledge, because they are out in the work world every day doing what we're teaching them to prepare them to do, yet we leave them out of the cycle. So I think it's about, we need to keep learning, not just trying to teach the chapter in front of us, which is actually just preparing our students to be obsolete, as I said a little while ago.
So true. The teachers have to come out from the frame of always being a teacher to being a learner as well. So once they start learning and they put themselves out there, it becomes so much easier for the children to learn further, because it is then that they are learning about the latest and they're coming to the class equipped with that knowledge so that they can guide the children. And that is why it is now also important that we involve the community, and we involve the parents who are in the real life problems, in providing the solutions to the real life problems. In that case, they also bring in their skill set in order to guide the children. And the new National Education Policy 2020 and now the NCFSE, there is a lot of stress on the skills and the competencies. And as you rightly said, that earlier the combinations of these subjects that were there were actually not even thought about. But today, like your earlier example, hospitals, which are, or the healthcare, that is the largest employer in any country. Today, courses like hospital management, dietitians, they've like come to the fore. And health has become primary. Even after COVID, we've seen that how much of importance it is to be given. So there was a time when we would say, okay, if you're taking biology, do not take computer science. But then bioinformatics has come in a big way. Similarly, computational bio, involving both mathematics and biology, is a huge emerging career these days. So absolutely, thank you, Dr. Fischetti. I would now come to you, Samir. So we are teaching a 19th century curriculum by the 20th century teacher to the 21st century children for a rapidly changing unknown future. It is an irony. So could you elaborate on this?
Yeah, I think it's my favorite statement. I said that 19th century curriculum, which hasn't changed, by 20th century teacher to 21st century children, for a future which is unknown. But I think interesting point is that we've dwelled on a problem long enough. I like you also talked about what can we change. Can we have simply conversations in school? Because if you look at it, the world of Khan Academy, the quality education they offer online is par excellence. The teachers have to make human connections with children. Something as basic practice as that when you finish your chapter, can you give children resources or ask children to create resources? Just create assignments. How many career options can you generate from the topic you read? And that all, if you start documenting on a school microsite, the careers with the subjects and the units and everything else, imagine the kind of resources you'll be able to generate. IC3 also has a resource, and I'll ask Kritika to share the resources with principals here. But I think my point here is the careers are changing every 3 to 5 years. If you look at it, today, I mean, a person who's not even a graduate can become an influencer online and, I mean, earn millions of rupees. I'm not saying that's the best career to follow, but I'm saying if the careers are changing, are the narratives around career also changing? We again continue to talk about only 7 career options in the school. How do we create opportunities and spaces for dialogue of emerging careers? How do we integrate as a matter of practice? You finish a unit, whether that's accounts, economics, or biology or physics. Can we give 5 career choices, emerging career choices in children? Because by the time in high school they graduate over a period of 4 years, they will have plethora of resources to explore from. This one, my key takeaway. Thank you.
So, Dr. Patankar, if you could elaborate on your own university as to how does how does that deal with the new national education policy and giving the getting the children what they want to do there. So, how would you elaborate on this, and how do you expect the teachers in schools to guide the children so that when they come to you, they are not unhappy individuals?
Yeah, that's an important question. I think at the university where I teach at the Symbiosis International University, I think we've been thinking about this for a long time. We started our liberal arts program in 2003 2004, and it is exactly what the national education policy talks about. It talks about the need for critical thinking, problem solving. It talks exactly the examples that you were talking about. Can I study computers and biology together? Can I study media and law together? And as a university, we decided that we wanted interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, small classroom sizes, experiential learning to be embedded. We also work with schools. We also have schools, but we also work with the schools in Pune. And one of the things that we've been doing with school teachers and I'm going to talk about it in 2 points of view. I think one is about inspiring teachers to realize the kind of influence, the kind of agency. Um, Power is not a highly desirable word, but the power that they have over helping students look at the world in a particular way, mold their minds to think, to work. And I think teachers often discount that, or they don't realize the kind of influence they have. I think teachers also need to understand that when they enter into the school premises, they are bringing in their entire personality and their baggage and everything with them, which means that as teachers, we're not only teaching content, but we're also bringing in our biases, our prejudices. And I think it's really important. So while we provide an ecosystem that allows students to introspect about where they want to go and who they want to be, I think it's also equally important for platforms to be created, informal platforms to be created, for teachers to be able to look at themselves. For example, simple things like dignity of labor. Without realizing it, sometimes we pass judgment. Oh, you must become a doctor. I don't think you can become a doctor. We, without realizing, pass judgment on students' abilities. We also pass judgment on jobs. So we will invite doctors and lawyers and engineers as chief guests, for example, to our function. But we may not invite someone who set up a very successful, for example, janitorial service, where he's catering to maybe 20 different companies and doing a really, really professionally great job. So I think those are the conversations that we focus on and that we invest in. It is now a part of all our teacher training programs and our faculty development programs, our leadership development programs, that we are who we are. But the good thing is that you can change the way you look at the world, and that multiple perspectives for teachers, because students will only learn from what they see around them. And it becomes difficult for students to break out of what society expects them. And for them, society is their parents, their teachers, their school, their seniors. So how can we ensure that we do that? And I think a lot of focus for the principal will have to be not just teacher training, but teachers' conversations. I think it's important to have one day where everybody just sits about what troubles them. How do they deal with the classroom? What troubles are they having in classroom? What do they feel happy with? I think that's really, really important. So I think John mentioned this as non-verbal pedagogy. I used to call it, the ways in which we live and be. So the pedagogy of living and being. And I think that sense of owning the school space, and I use the word owning in a very positive way, that these are all my kids and I need to be equally invested. And I also need to be equally invested in myself, because if you're happy as a teacher, and if you're not happy as a teacher, there are so many other jobs that you could look for, and so many things that you could do. At 62 plus, lots of job opportunities for people. So I think it's really important to realize that teachers are very influential, very significant people, and that joy that comes with that is very important.
And they need to mentor the children. If they are
Yes.
teachers, I mean, there are, as you said, loads of jobs available.
Absolutely.
If you've chosen to be a teacher, then you need to be a
Yeah.
guide and a mentor. So very quickly, Dr. Anita, if you could also add as to how do we involve the parents into this process? How do we bring in the parents? And I would then want Samir and Dr. John to also add.
So, Dr. Jyoti, I'm a great believer that learning is a collaborative commitment between students, teachers, the school, and the parents. In an ideal world, we will add society and community as well. And therefore, a school has to be thought of and designed as a co-constructed space. Now, how do we engage with parents and leverage the collective expertise and experience that they have? How do we ensure that they are equal partners and career path mentors in this process? And very often, not just for their own children. They may not be the greatest mentors for their own children if their child wants to go on a career path that is divergent from theirs, but they could be for so many other students in the classroom. In fact, sometimes it's easier to mentor somebody else's kid than it is to mentor your own, because we are vested emotionally, in their success and making sure that they don't fail. So let me share a few examples of what we do. An induction program for parents is something that we always do at the beginning of the year, in which we help them understand the challenges of how difficult it is today. Comparatively, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was much easier. How challenging choosing a career path is, and how challenging it is to realize that this path is going to keep changing. It isn't a one single, it's like the aeroplane, right? Goes from point A to point B. But actually, if you track the actual path, it diverges very, very often. I think a small career advisory team of parents and alumni works really, really well for a school. I think we need to bring parents in. I think, John talked about the fact that they have collectively so much expertise, and this is very school um, focused. A school in a regional area, school in a slightly rural environment, an urban school is going to have access to very different expertise. Now, how can you bring them in? The easiest thing to do is to have a career day. We could have series of sessions, short sessions during the lunch break, or in what do I do at work, shadowing me at work, mentoring while choosing subjects. So wherever electives come in, you could do that. Inviting parents and celebrating unknown, comparatively less popular professions and careers, career-related projects, group-wise, and then share a Google sheet with parents, asking them to volunteer their time, and you could buddy them up, with students and with teachers. I think study trips to the organizations that parents work at, making sure that it's equitable. That means small businesses, small entrepreneurial activities, startups, larger organizations, all kinds, of jobs. I think parents would love, small groups of parents would love to create in the library a small little career resource center where they can contribute material, which would help people. I think buddying parents with students who are in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and I would say start early, because data shows us that students who want to get into IIT, for example, or medicine, they start thinking about that in the 8th standard itself. There are students who join IIT prep classes in the 8th summers. So I think that is something. So there's so much that we could do. I think, given the pace of technological development that we're seeing, and the sheer number and the sheer creativity of tech savvy teachers, entrepreneurs. There are student entrepreneurs nowadays who are coming up. Technology is going to impact education in many, many ways. And as these disruptive technologies emerge, I think we can bring parents in to share how they've navigated all of these changes. Because I think one of the speakers did speak about the fact that failure is such a great teacher. So parents can come in and share their journey. How did I navigate? How did I change careers? Why didn't I change a career? I've been a teacher for the last 42 years. Why didn't I ever think of changing? Whereas somebody else may have changed, 6 or 7 careers. So sharing their stories of how they navigate through their own lives. See, careers also mean you're making life choices. Different careers mean that your life is going to pan out very, very differently, and each career may have certain ethical dilemmas, that you have to face. And I think it would be really important for students to be able to hear that, and then have sounding boards where they can then discuss. And it's easier sometimes to discuss with these mentors who are not your own parents.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. I would come to Dr. John Fischetti now. So, alumni are the strongest case studies of success stories in meaningful choices of higher education and careers. How do we build a system that leverages the alumni community to further enhance the career guidance function?
Oh, thank you. We've really covered off on a lot of the answer to that question, and just now it was eloquently done. Using the current base of parents that we have, there's almost every career represented, from the smallest to the largest, which would be amazing. And the second is, in our alumni group, students who have graduated are yearning to come back and be included. And they are the best success story. These are students in their 20s who are already changing the world, and they would love to be invited back, but not just to do speeches on a stage, to work in small groups, to judge panels, to be part of assessing, to be involved in classroom conversations. So it's not just always sage on the stage, but more integrated, that they are just a few years ahead. And the other point is we can use our alumni base as well. We have to think about the future of democracy. India is a fragile democracy, the United States, Australia, most European countries now, where we don't know how to disagree. And part of career development is many families aren't really providing that opportunity to learn how to respect one another's opinion. So using the alumni and parent base to lead conversations where people frame an argument, but also hear another point of view. Because given the multidisciplinary, multi-ethnic, multicultural country that India is, we have to appreciate the difference, not look at it to divide. And I think if there's one thing that schooling isn't doing enough of, it's bringing people together to appreciate difference. And if we learn how to respect, then when we get into the workplace, the best career counseling would be able to get along with our teammates, our partners, and our bosses. Because there's a lot of disruption due to the interdisciplinary, interpersonal disconnect that happens in organizations, including schools. So I think that's a piece that our alumni and our parents can help with, because how do you negotiate your own agenda inside of a larger organization? And a lot of our kids see that they are big fish in a little pond, but actually this is a big pond and we're all little fish. Where do we learn that? And we may have missed that in the curriculum.
Right, and peer learning is always very, very important. So the last question to you, Samir, students need inspiration to take initiative, avail the resources provided to them, and drive their own journey to finding their best fit career and college pathway. How can we inspire this and build a culture for students to be the leaders in their own journey? And your school is known for this. We can't hear you. If you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. And I did a recent podcast also where I said that fundamental belief on which another school is built is that every student has potential. Every student has potential and willingness to achieve whatever they set their goals on. So we have to build student agency in what they do. And in that context, right from choosing subjects to building up their own projects. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. We have a project, we've taken an adapted curriculum from MIT Design Lab for our IT. Our students from grade 3 to 9 study different skills in IT. They don't do computer science. We know Microsoft Word, PPT. This is all defunct skills which they can learn at home. What they do in grade 10th, which is the first year they face a high-stake public examination conducted by both CBSE and other boards. So that year, our children, by design, pick up a social problem and try to find solution of that social problem through the lens of technology. So what happens there is that basically we are a school which is a private school. We have fee-paying school. Most of our kids come from fee-paying background. And so what happens is, and we in terms of fee structure, we are at a certain price, so we attract certain kind of clientele. So what we do is we know that our children will never face rigor and struggle in life otherwise. But in grade 10th, we've designed a program which shakes them up. And every year I get 100 emails from parents. Why do you do that in 10th standard? Because all their energy goes in solving this problem. When will they study? So I said, no, that's how life is. Life doesn't tell you that today you have a problem, you solve it. Tomorrow I'll come and give you another problem. You get multiple problems, right? So our children do well in board examination. Our average scores were very high this year. They also go out in the field. They talk to the real practitioners. They talk to the rack pickers. They talk to the Zomato guys. They go and talk on the construction sites, find out people's problems. And through the lens of technology, they try to solve that problem in the first year of high-stake examination. So I think when you give children that, the joy they get of solving a problem, the agency they get of choosing the problem they want to solve, and through the lens, they also figure out what they want to do is a deal, this thing for them. So I think we're giving students a lot of agency in doing what they want to do by design. It won't happen by chance. A lot of schools I know talk about student agency, but you have to design agency. I've recently been talking about, I hope I'm able to do that. I say, become vice principal one day, sit on my chair and take all decisions. I'll be out and about. So I have to implement that. And I said, anything which is strategic long-term, you can't, but day-to-day functioning, you take all decisions, I'll sign off on those decisions. So it's very interesting. In our discipline committee, students represent students. Last year, we had a student who changed his gender from he to she. The whole student community came together advocating for gender neutral toilets. We don't have our language change. We don't have father and mother. Now we have a parent one and parent two. We also talk about where the students have gender neutral elections. There is no head boy and head girl. So the whole culture of the school shifted and tilted toward accommodating one child's personal choice. And there was a student agency. That's it. I'll stop here.
So, what would be your advice, Dr. Anita, to all the principals? What message should they take back to the children? Very briefly, one statement.
I think students have to learn to be very greedy to learn. I think teachers and principals have to take the message back that your self-worth does not come from the amount of money that you earn. It comes when you do something significant with the talent and the potential that you have. And that if you're an active learner today, the chances are you will be an active learner in the future. The chances of you being a lazy learner today, but magically transforming into an active learner when you are in an organization is very, very slim. That these are habits like going to a gym, building up your muscles. These are emotional and mental skills, and that society and community have lots of support systems, but students have to take ownership of their learning and have to say to their teachers, give me more opportunities to learn.
Great.
So one
And
last point I wanted
Dr.
to make,
Fischetti, you have to give one message for the principals of India as to how should they deal with the Gen Z today.
Part of the responsibility of being a global leader, which India is, one of the most important countries in the world, and for this rest of this century, in the top 3 or 4 countries in the world influencing the entire planet, that we need to do that by making a difference. And whatever you do, grow your skills to make a difference. It doesn't matter what that is. Our purpose is to be of service to humankind. And there are so many ways to do that, but we have to do it with respect and dignity and lifelong learning.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists. Over to
Jyotima,
you,
just last point
Nitiman,
I wanted to
Kritika.
make. One is that destigmatize career changes. Emphasize that undergraduate degree is the first step towards your career exploration. It's not the destination. So I think we stigmatize career changes way too much, saying if you can't become doctor, you cannot become anything. If you can't become engineer, you don't become anything else. You may be engineer today and tomorrow you may be an artist. So just destigmatize career changes and say undergraduate degree is an exploration. First stage in your life, this generation will change many careers. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So we close our panel discussion. Over to you, Kritika. Over to you, Niti ma'am.
Okay. Hello. I think this was a very enriching and engrossing session. And the last point needs to be elaborated in a way what Samir sir said makes sense, really makes sense. Because even if we are sitting here, the 5 or 6 of us or 7 of us are the ones who are, out there. Most of us would say that it was not the first job that we landed into became our destiny. It is like we hop around and there comes a calling where we just try to see that this is the place where we belong. So that's the way the career progression is for all of us. I think it has been like that. I don't know why when we sit around with our kids, you have to tell them, no, you just can't become this at one point of time and start out with your career journey. You have to explore different places, different oceans. And like I know one of this book, I think Mastery, most of you must have gone through it. I think Robert Greene, he has put it so simply, and it's beautiful. Like I understand one thing, that there is a golden, golden hours that he has defined as 10,000 hours. So if you put in 10,000 hours into any of the career, any of the passionate thing that you do, any art you do, any music you do, that becomes your calling, and that is your, you can say, the destiny in a way, that becomes your passion also in the way at the end of the day. So these are the things that are very important, and that is what we call about counseling, and giving this to the students who come around getting all hyped up, all anxious about what I would do next, what I would do after 10th, what I would do after 12th. So I really appreciate that this was a very, very good start. And thank you everyone who were here. I will not take much of your time. And first of all, a big thanks and the deepest gratitude to our chairperson, CBSE, who have been the guiding force into bringing this critical aspect of having these counseling sessions and having these webinars and other things. Although CBSE already, and all the principals know, and Jyoti ma'am knows, that CBSE already has mandated that we should have a counselor in our schools and we should have a wellness teacher. But now is the time I can really go a step ahead and try to put that together and make them feel that this is really, really important at this point of the time. It's not only career counseling. I think even psychosocial counseling, as we were discussing, it's all goes hand in hand, and how we integrate it and how we move around it, it's something that we'll be looking forward to in the next sessions that we'll be doing with the teachers, with the parents, and of course the parents, the students. The most important, I think, I'm looking forward to the session with the students, and whosoever would be moderating would have a lovely time looking at the chat and trying to put in the queries coming from the students. For Himanshu sir, he has always been there, as we all know, that you just go to him with an idea, and he's out there to support you, especially when it comes to the counseling aspects. We had wonderful session from Anil sir, and he was at his musical best, as he always is. And I think he must have gained a lot of admirers on the participants forum also, as we could see that wherever he goes, he had this unique and very innovative style of putting in his sessions, and it always shows when we are really on the other side. Ashwin sir, as usual, was bang on when he said we have 35,000 decisions that we do it, I think, every day and in every moment. And he's right. It's a very simple thing, but he's right when he says that, you have to pick up and you have to be at the right place at the right time with the right person, with the right peer group, with the right mentor, with the right teacher, to channelize those thoughts into the right direction, so that our personal and professional journey gets meaningful in some way. So there comes a role of a teacher or a counselor or a principal, where in the students spend most of their daytime, so as to say. So again, a beautiful expert panel we have, and Jyoti Gupta ma'am had really put in the last question, so I would not go again and make it's already 1.5 to it's 2 hours, more than 2 hours, and we are good to go. Still we are there, sitting there and trying to have a conversation, but I understand timings have to look into. So we look forward to the next session, which is on 10th July, and we'll be talking to the teachers as our target group with the transformative teaching. I think that's the session title that we are looking forward to. And thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And same place, same time on 10th July.
Thank you so much, Neeti ma'am.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention Kritika. She just, I think she was somewhere, some internet issues or something. Thank you, Kritika, and thank you, Jyoti ma'am, for coordinating all this. And there's somebody behind the screen, Parajita ma'am. So a big thank you to you also. Anupma Dikshit, right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Neeti ma'am. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. And thank you to all of our incredible panelists who've left us with so many incredible nuggets and takeaways that we can start implementing in school tomorrow. I think this was such a powerful start to the 5-week series, because principals are the key stakeholders who are going to set the tone, define policy level transformation in schools, build aspiration amongst all stakeholders to continue this implementation. So I'm really grateful to all of you for sharing such wonderful knowledge, insights, and techniques that we can start implementing in school from tomorrow. Thank you all so much once again, and we look forward to seeing you next week at the next series.
Thank you.
Thank you.